My next guest is coming off a huge win this past weekend over Mirsad Bektic at UFC Vegas 11. It is Damon Jackson back here on the program. Damon, how's it going?
Oh, man. It's going good, man. I'm just, happy to be back in the mix and getting fights, yeah.
Have you been able to soak this in? I know it's been a long journey to get that first UFC win. You had a couple fights before with the UFC. You're back now, and you made a statement, man. You got a submission win.
Yeah, no, it was huge. I mean, I was happy to get the finish. I'm always looking for finishes, but it was nice to come in like short notice like that and get a sub like that. It's just it wasn't the prettiest fight, but it's like it was 3-day notice and tough dude, man. Mirsad's definitely a tough dude. So I was happy to get the win. Just ready to get something else lined up. I can't really soak it in yet. It hasn't quite hit me, that I even had a fight. Because normally it's like there's so much build up for every fight that once you have the fight, it's kind of like the peak of it, But I really never had that. I just had like my normal day to day, and then my manager Jason called me and was like, "Hey man, you're gonna fight this Saturday." I was like, "All right, let's do it," So not the same build up for sure.
I want to go back a bit because you and I haven't talked in a while, not since you were going into PFL and doing their whole season. So what happened with PFL? Did they release you? Like, how were you able to go and take this fight? That was one of the things I was going to ask you heading into this.
Yeah, I don't want to bash them or anything. Like, it was just weird. Their contract, the way they did things, like everything about it was just kind of like really awkward. And it was like, I don't see how half of it was like legal. Like, I don't even know what was going on. It was like super weird. But I have my contract. And they were like, well, we're going to bring you back in October. We're going to bring you back in December. We're going to bring you back next year, whatever. And like they kept on. And I was like, listen, guys, I was like, I don't care who I fight for, like what promotion, what guy, what weight class, whatever. Like, I just want to fight. Like, so if you guys can't give me a fight, will you release me? Mm-hmm. And they went back and forth for like a day or two. And then they were like, yeah, you know what? We'll do that just so you can stay busy. We'll bring you back next year. And then all this crap hit with COVID, and I was with the LFA, and I was like, listen, I'm not leaving the LFA unless it's for the UFC. I'm not doing this. I'm not, because the reason I went for PFL is because it just didn't look like I was going to get pulled into the UFC for a while, and I wanted to 2 years over at PFL and then try to go back to UFC. And so when I made that decision, it was just like, it was kind of risky, but I was like, man, I just want to stay busy. So it's like, if no one's going to give me a fight, I have to take something.
Okay.
And so that's kind of why I went that way. And then once it was like real awkward after I had that loss. And then there was a period where it was like I had my first fight, and then I had the loss, and I got a suspension from New York. And they said that the suspension was basically past my next fight. So I wasn't going to be able to fight my second fight. So I was going to earn no points. So I wasn't going to be able to continue on. But they told me, they're like, well, that's, we don't agree with that. So we're going to bring you back in October. And I was like, oh, thank you. Just let me fight. I'll fight anybody, whatever. If someone falls out, I'll take their spot, whatever, And then they didn't let me fight in October. And then they brought in Daniel Pineda out of nowhere. And I'm like, so why would you bring someone else in when I'm begging for a fight? And it made no sense. And I was like, that's when I told him, I was like, listen, if you guys aren't going to give me a fight, will you please release me? And, Ray went back and forth with him, and he said, yeah, you know what, we'll do that just so you can stay busy. And then they let me go. So
that was last year you got released. When was it official?
Well, I mean, it was like the end of December. And then I called Ed Suarez at LFA, and I was like, listen, guys, I was like, this whole thing was just, such a big like cluster, and the whole thing was just jacked up. So I was like, listen, will you please let me come back in and fight? I was like, I don't have to fight for the title. I don't have to fight anyone. I was like, when you guys come to Dallas, let me fight here. I'll sell tickets. I'll do, whatever it takes to, get me on the show. And they came to Dallas, and they let me fight on the card, and which is huge. LFA, they've always supported me, and Ed, he's been such a great friend, and he's helped me out so much in the past with getting fights and everything. And so after I had that fight, then COVID hit, and it was just like, it was crazy. It was like you never knew if you were gonna fight for the rest of the year or not. Like, you had no clue what was going on. So I went back and forth with Ed trying to figure out. I was like, listen, if I'm not gonna fight with you guys, like, is there any way you can help me get pushed into the UFC? And so but no one wanted, UFC didn't want me at the time because it was like I only had one fight after I had that last loss, so it was kind of like I needed to have like one or two more before they brought me in. But thankfully, all this nonsense has happened, and it's opened up a lot of opportunities for a lot of people. So that's kind of what I was the first opportunity in my weight class that they wanted, a big name for. So.
Well, it worked out. And, thankfully you weren't under contract with the PFL this year, because I know a lot of their fighters right now can't fight and they're not putting any shows on. So, I do feel for them because a lot of them are trying to get the release or trying to get something, right? So
it's horrible, man. It really is. I really don't know how they do their stuff. Like, it's not like when I was there, like, it was like weird. It was like super sketchy. Like, they were talking about like doubling and tripling my pay, and I was like, how are you guys even doing this? Like, how is this even possible? So I questioned it. I was just like taking the money. And I was like, all right, whatever, And so I don't know. I don't know what their business was, and I don't know who was backing them or what their idea was with it. But I wasn't a big fan. And I'm definitely happy to be out of it. And obviously, back in the UFC is where I wanted to be this whole time.
Yeah, you got sort of a fast track there, which is great based after what you were saying, because like you said, you thought it was going to be a little bit before you get back in, which is really great. Sort of last thing on that, and then we'll definitely talk about the fight because we got to talk about it. It was amazing. You had a different manager last time we were speaking, and now you're with Jason House. How did that all come together with you, teaming up with Iridium? Because I'm sure that helped you get in the UFC.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's why I got in like that. I mean, 100%. But my if you were to break it down, like my circumstances, like, there's not a whole lot of guys like they were sitting the way I'm sitting. Like, I've already been in the UFC. I've already had X amount of fights. I've already won the LFA title. I had all this stuff that was like, it didn't really make a lot of sense why I wasn't back in the UFC. But then at the same time, it was kind of like a real like special thing. So I had to like speak to a couple of these guys and go back and forth with them and just see what their idea was. And I really didn't like anyone's idea except for Jason. Was just like, we'll take any fight we get. And I'm like, yeah, that's me. Like, I'll take any fight I can get. I'll fight anybody, any day, any weight class from 170 down to 45. Like, I'll take any fight. And I told him that, and he was on board with that, whereas other people weren't. And it was just like, it was at the point where I had no clue what to do. And he acted like he seemed like he had a game plan, and it was very refreshing just to hear that. So I was like, spoke to my coach, Saif, who's been basically my manager this whole time. And I told him, I said, listen, like, if you think I should go with Jason, then, and I 100% agree with that, because I really just want to try something different, to get my name in the door every time that someone's hurt or every time that COVID pops up or whatever the hell the circumstance is. I just want to take a short notice fight. I want to be ready, whenever, all the time. So that's kind of my game plan, was to stay ready and take whatever I could get and not be picky, because you never know. It's nuts.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, because I know last time, your last manager had a lot of ties to PFL in terms of the fighters he repped and everything like that. Was that part of the deal when you left PFL? You also left your manager as well, and you were sort of a free agent in terms of representation?
I didn't like the way he was tied in with them because of the way they treated me. Like, it wasn't him, it was how they treated me and how tight he was with them. And I was like, how are they treating me like that if you're so tight with them? It made no sense. And I kind of after I was done, I kind of took a step back and looked at what they were doing, and it was just so wrong. Like, their whole contract, the way their companies ran by from like day-to-day people. Like, whereas if you go to the UFC, if someone's going to pick you up at 150 from the airport, they're going to be there at 130, like, just waiting with the sign that says your freaking name, saying, we're here, we'll do whatever you want and whatever. And then whereas them, it's like, they're like, they give you an Uber code, and then you have to like call your own Uber and like find your way to the hotel, and then like hopefully you make it there in time or whatever. And what I didn't like about it, and what made me sick about it, because I never wanted to go anywhere else, because I respect so much that the UFC has brought in USADA, and they're testing every athlete. They're doing all these things the right way. They're making people do things the right way, and I respect that as an athlete that's competing in this freaking crazy sport, because it's like, if you have an edge on someone, you can literally take their life. If you have that little bit of edge on someone, you could hurt them. Hurt them worse than what you already going, like what's already going to happen. So it's like, I just respect the UFC so much more than them. And whenever I was with that manager, I was just kind of like, man, like, why do you keep talking about them over and over and over when I have no interest in it? And it was just like, I just kind of stopped talking to the guy, and I was like, you know what, let's just kind of cut ties, and I'll go back to doing my own thing, and you do your thing, and we'll just cut it. And he's like, yeah, I agree. That's fine. So we're done.
It worked out. You got this fight against Bektic, 3 days notice. Let me ask you about that, because I'm sure the mentality was different than some of your other UFC fights where you didn't really have time to think about this matchup. And I know you're a big underdog, Bektic sort of, known as sort of a household name in that division. Was it almost easier taking this fight just because you really knew you didn't have much to lose? You were getting it on short notice?
Yeah, I mean, I love short notice fights. I hate every part of MMA except for the competition.
Yeah.
Like, the BS bulk, like the talking back and forth to your opponent, all the build up, the weight cut, the camp, the like people asking you, how do you lose 20 pounds in 2 days? And like, how do you like stay focused? And like, what can I do to be an MMA fighter? Like people asking questions all the time and like asking, hey, when's your next fight? And like every day it's the same thing. Like it's a repetitive cycle. So when you have a fight, it's nice to just kind of like have the fight and just, go there. And with the UFC, it's like you go there, all you're there to do is fight. That's it.
Yeah.
Like you fight. That's it. Like that's all you have to do. You show up, your gear's there, all your stuff's ready to go. They tell you where to go. They take you wherever you need. They get you whatever you want, and you're just there to fight. So to have a short notice fight with them, that's like as good as it gets. But for me, like I'm a full-time athlete. Like I train full-time. I work my schedule. I'm a trainer and a coach on the side, and I, train and coach people all day, and I also get to train full time. So I train full time year round. My diet's on point year round. I'm ready to take a fight at any time, and I think that that's awesome to get to show that also that I took a fight on 3 day notice against Bektic, which he's a tough dude. I don't like his style. I think that I would beat him 10 out of 10 times for sure, but I think that he's just got a lot of hype. I think that he's gonna have to really step his game up big time with his he's just not comfortable getting hit. And I saw that. Like I told my coach and told him, Jason, about this matchup about a month ago, or a month before the fight. I was like, listen, this fight falls out, I want it, because I saw I don't remember the guy's name he was matched up with, but I saw that he was matched up with someone kind of questionable. It was like the guy was definitely going to lose for sure, and he was already coming off a loss. So I figured that he was going to pull out or something. But then he ended up, his cornerman got COVID or something like that. But anyway, so I saw that matchup a long time ago. I was like, listen, I want this matchup big time. And they're like, what are you talking about? This dude's like a killer. I'm like, no, I like this matchup. If this fight falls through, you make sure that my name's in the mix. And, sure enough, the week of, he and Sean, Shelby couldn't replace anyone else but me. Like I was the only guy that made sense to step in because of my record and because of what I've done and stuff in the past. And like it just didn't make sense to bring anyone else in. So, it was just like it was perfect. The whole thing was just kind of like talked it into existence. I spoke to my coach about it, I spoke to him about it, talked to my wife about it, my dad, and just kind of spoke it into existence. And I just went with it. I was pleased and so happy to take the fight on a short notice, and I'm glad everybody's making such a big deal about it, but I wanted that fight a while ago.
And it was a tough fight. I mean, I think watching it, I think people felt like maybe he was ahead heading into that third round. But what was it inside you that was like, I got to finish this fight? Because Bektic had only been finished, I think, 2 other times in his career. Did you feel like a finish was coming in that third round?
I thought a finish was going to come like 30 seconds in, like because I just saw the way he fights. Like if he gets hit like once or twice, he dives in on shots. And if you speak to any of my training partners at the gym, like if someone dives in on a shot, I'm gonna sub them with a triangle, guillotine, like whatever. I'm gonna sweep them or sub them or something. So I really thought I was gonna get a finish quicker. Whenever he shot in and he got in real deep on the double and I hit the ground, I was gonna go for a sweep, And then I realized, it's like, dude, I've got his neck all the way through, and the only thing I didn't do was like, I didn't pull my elbow in. I just pulled it straight up, and which is, the difference of it hurting if you pull it straight up, or if you pull it through, it makes it a blood choke. And so whenever I pulled it straight up, it was kind of like after I hit the ground, it was like the best I could do for a second, and I went for it. And I should have just went for the sweep like I thought originally to do, and I squeezed it a little too long and kind of burned myself out. But it's like 3-day notice, man. It's like
you got the win. That's the big thing, man. Like you got the win, and it's been such a long time coming, because like I said, you had that first stint in the UFC, which just went kind of weird, right? You had that draw, and then there was like obviously there's just a lot of unfortunate circumstances. So when you finally got that submission victory, when the ref stepped in, fight's over, what's going through your head? Because like I said, long road to get to the UFC. Shouldn't have been this long, but it was a long road.
I mean, yeah, you could argue it and say that I shouldn't have been that long or whatever. But when I made it into the UFC originally, I don't think really a lot of people know that, but I had 9 fights in 18. So I made it into the UFC in 18 months into my fighting. Into me, like, I went from training at a place where it was only jiu-jitsu for my first 4 fights, and then I came down to Dallas and met Saif, and I started training at the gym there in Dallas, and with Saif, and that's when I started actually getting to train everything, was after my 4th pro fight. And then I had 5 fights in 1 year. Then I went to the UFC. And that's how, like, it was like when I made it in, I wasn't ready. So when I got this chance, I was like, dude, like, I can beat these top 15, top 20 guys, like, easy. Like, there's so many guys there that I can beat, and I'm waiting for, I don't have social media, so I'm waiting on someone to call me out. So you guys, like, make a list, I'm ready to go. It's just like, it's not personal with me. Like, I just want to fight. I just want to compete. And so when I got that win, man, it was just like, that's just like, it just makes me so happy to be back and to be with the promotion as good as they are. And it's just, it's so clean. And it just, everything about it, man, I love it. And I love that I'm getting to compete against the best guys now. And I don't have to have those questionable matchups. Like, everybody in the UFC is tough. So it's like, no matter who I get matched up with, it's going to be a fight. So.
Well, it's awesome to hear. And you got a bit of money on top of that, the $50K. I know you were telling me off air you're doing some house renovations. Is that pretty much what you're investing it back in? Or are you going to put some more into your RVs? Like, what's the plan with the $50K?
It'll be all in my house, because I want to get my house to where I just, like, can walk home or come home from training and not have to, like, think. Because, like, right now it's like while we're doing this interview, my wife was just giving me crap last week right before I left. She was like, dude, we've got to get this bathroom done. I'm like, yeah, I've also got to fight, and I've got to get my MRA, and, like, I had to get all this stuff done. So it's like, for me, I would love to get my bathroom done, my bedroom, and my kitchen, and then just be done for a little while and relax. And I'm definitely gonna take advantage of this bonus and train my ass off and get ready for I want one more fight for the year's up. I want to fight maybe in November when they come back from Abu Dhabi. I really don't want to fight over there unless it's like asked of me. If they ask me to do it, hell yeah, I'll step up and go. But it's like, if I go over there, I want to, like, go out and see it and everything. So it's like, it would just be weird to go there and be quarantined, and not because, like, people don't understand that. Like, in Vegas, like, I got there and I was in the hotel. There was someone sitting in the hallway in a chair, like, watching us, and we didn't go outside with our lanyard on and our mask. They were like, "You gotta go get it." Like, yeah, turn around. I'm like, I just saw me like 20 times. Like, you know who I am. Like. We've spoken. Like, it's just nuts. So I'll take whatever fight I get, man. And right now I'm just going to look on investing in that training. I'm going to use that bonus to train my ass off, and that's about it.
Did you have a lot of people messaging you that, well, I guess you don't have social media, but did you have anyone, did you know anyone that won a bunch of money on your fight because you were a big underdog, like I mentioned?
Well, there was a handful of my friends that sent me, like, their ticket, from their bet and everything. And so, like, people won some, pretty good money. I have one of my clients that won some. He didn't tell me. He wouldn't. I didn't ask him because I don't like. I didn't.
Yeah, of course. Don't want to blur that line. Yeah.
He was telling me, he was like, yeah, he's like, he put some big money on me because he saw the odds, and he was like, no matter what, this is a safe bet, because it's like, he knows what I'm doing, he knows what I'm training and stuff. So, and I see him every day. So it's like, it was pretty cool to see that he was like, investing that much into the fight. It was pretty cool. But he made some good money for sure.
Something you talked about there, and I did see your post-fight presser talking about how you deleted social media. And for those who didn't see it, this is awful. Like, I don't know what the hell is wrong with people, but like someone messaged you after your loss in PFL and said they wanted you to die. Like that's absolutely insane. Like what goes through someone's mind to write that? I don't get that.
That's one, for instance. Like, but people like, I mean, it does not matter what you say. Like, it does not matter what you say, positive or negative, or what you do, if you win or lose or whatever. There is always someone out there that's just miserable that is going to come at you and say something. And I'm like, I'm giving all these people that I like from another country, from like, they don't know anything about MMA, like they don't know anything. I'm giving them access to like say what they want about me. I'm like, fuck that. Like, I'm just I'm like, there's no point. Like, what's the point? Like, I'm going to post and get some free supplements. I'll just go freaking work and bust my ass and pay for my own supplements and pay for my own gear. And like, what am I going to get out of it? Like, it's just like, I don't know what to say about the whole thing. It's nuts, but people are freaking insane. Like people are talking crap about Span, saying how did you see his fight?
Oh, of course, yeah. He nearly won.
Yeah, okay. So he hits a guy, drops him. He comes back in, they exchange, they both get hit, they both get hurt. He dives in on a shot, so that he's clearly hurt. Other guy's clearly hurt, drives him up into the cage. The guy hits him with one illegal shot, and then he hits him with a real clean elbow, and then he hits him with like 10 shots to the back of the head. I can see it on freaking video, and they're like dogging him, saying how like he deserves to lose, and like I'm like, how does he deserve to lose? He's on a 4-5 win streak, or he had an 8-5 win streak, four wins in the UFC.
He was undefeated, heading into that in the UFC anyways. He was undefeated,
I talk about him just because he's not been built up like Johnny Walker. Like, he's not like as big of a draw yet, because whatever. But I'm just like, people are just disgusting with it, and I don't want to be around it, like that part of it. And I think that deleting that is the best way to do that. Is just
your mind must be so clear. You don't have to like. I have to like scale back a little bit. I got a family and stuff. It's like what am I doing? I should be spending time with my kid instead of posting something, right? So
pathetic, man. It really is. But like, I mean, yours is a little different because you're interviewing people. You have to.
I still get shit though. You should see it, man. I get people all the time being like, "You suck" and all this, and it's like, you don't even know me. Like if you're insulting a complete stranger for no reason, like, you're not living a good life. There's no way. Like, it's crazy.
Like, I try to, all the young guys are like at my gym. They're like, like they say something to me bad. And they're like, I'm gonna delete mine. I'm like, listen, like, you have to have it until you become somebody. But then once you have established yourself, or like, if you don't want it, that's great, but you better go out there and take care of business. Like, you better be finishing every fight. You better be like in people's face, and like, you better go out and meet these, like, what the thing is, like, when you're a young fighter, like, you need sponsors. Like, you need people to like pay your way, because you don't get paid anything. Like, I had pro fights where I lost money, and I still, even with the biggest of the biggest name outside of UFC was LFA, or or PFL, whatever. Like with LFA, like, I would have to work all the way until the week of the fight, and then the week of the fight I would break even, just because I was making the money that I would make in a week. I would make that back in a fight. So I was like, if you don't have a name yet, you have to have it a little bit. But then, like, once you have it, man, you don't have to have it unless you want it. And I don't, like, it's just, like, I'm at the point where, like, I'm so far past it, all of it, like, all of it.
You're good, man. You're good. People know who you are, especially after Saturday, right? So there you go.
And that's why I want to use that momentum. I want to use these interviews. I want to use the media. I want to use people, asking me questions. Like, I want to use anything I can to get another fight. And I think, honestly, that I'll fight before the year's up. I really hope so. And I'm trying to press that with my manager, and with anybody that wants to call me out of it, I'll just jump all over it. But I'm looking for a November return when they come back to Vegas, and that's my goal. That's my mindset right now, as I'm prepping for November.
I just thought of it now. This is my last question, I promise, because we definitely got way over time here. But would you ever want that rematch with Kevin Aguilar? I don't know if he's still with the UFC. He's lost a couple, but is that a fight you'd want? Just because I know there's a lot of bad blood in that LFA fight you guys had a couple of years ago.
So it was like it wasn't bad blood. I don't really know the guy. I don't know him like that. It was like he took a fight with me, and then he backed out of it because of whatever. Either he was waiting for the UFC or he was really hurt, which I think he was kind of waiting for the UFC to call him because he was on like a 4-5 win streak or something. So I was like, dude, like you're saying that you're hurt, but I'm like, waiting for a fight because I was trying to get back in the UFC too. Right. I wanted the big matchup, which is the LFA title, and I wanted that title, and I wanted to fight him. So we had like a little bit of bad blood there, but like for the most part, like I don't know him, like I don't know his gym, I don't know. Like, I do know one of his coaches that was, like, his jiu-jitsu coach is a total tool. But that's that guy. It's not him. They don't really work together. But, yeah, I mean, obviously I would fight him for sure. It's not like I wouldn't say that bad blood, honestly, but it was more like in the moment, kind of like I was trying to get him riled up so we could actually
with the circumstances, I understand. So kind of what you're saying, not high on the priority list, but obviously if they gave you him, you wouldn't mind either,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'll fight anybody, any day, any whatever. 45, 55, I'll definitely take the fight for sure.
Damon, congratulations on the win. Like I said, long time coming. Really glad to see. Next interview we do, by the way, in November, we'll definitely talk about some RVs. We didn't get any talk of that this interview, but we'll do it next time for sure. Anyone you want to thank? And anything at all? Sponsors, obviously no social media, but I'll give you the last word here.
Fortis MMA, they've just been like helping me so much get ready for this, and all my guys on the team are prepping for their fights, they're getting ready and everything. And then Jason, Jason Lynch, man, he's the man. I guess Sean Shelby, man, I guess we're friends now. It's like he brought me in like that, and he was giving me crap for years, and then he gave me the bonus too. So it's like I guess we're best buds now. So hopefully he'll give me another fight in November.